So in today's video, I'm gonna give you 9 reasons why I'm not getting the DJI Air 3. Now, first up, the Air 3 has the same 1/1.3 inch CMOS sensor as we see in the Mini 3 Pro. So the image coming from the Air 3 is not gonna look better or worse than what you're gonna get from the DJI Mini 3 Pro. And I've been using the Mini 3 for about 15 months now, and it has always been my go-to over the bigger Mavic 3 Classic, which I also have. I've been taking the Mini 3 Pro throughout Hawaii a couple of times, and I've never experienced such a great drone. I mean, this has everything I need, and the image coming from this looks just amazing. Now, another thing is the aperture of the Air 3, which is the exact same as we see in the Mini 3 Pro of f1.7. Now, if the Air 3 only had a flexible aperture from something like f2.8 to f11, it would be a significant upgrade. But it has the exact same fixed aperture of f1.7 as we see in the Mini 3 Pro, which of course is awesome because it lets in more light through the lens, which results in a better low light image. But it also means that ND filters will be a must when you're out shooting on a sunny day. And when it comes to upgrading from one drone to another, the first thing we look at is the camera. And yes, the Air 3 has the telephoto lens, which is equivalent to a 70mm. But for me, this is just not enough, especially when the image coming from this will look exactly like the Mini 3 Pro. Now, as of battery life, the Air 3 has much better battery life than the Mini 3 Pro standard batteries, and also the previous Air 2 and Air 2S. But as for the Mini 3 Pro, you can always get the Plus batteries, which will give just as much battery life as the Air 3. Matter of fact, 1 minute longer. Now, unfortunately, these Plus batteries are not available here in Europe, especially here in Norway, but there is retailers on Amazon that offers worldwide shipping. So you are able to get your hands on the Plus batteries even here in Norway, but the shipping is gonna be a little bit higher. So it's gonna end up being more expensive. But my solution would be to get a few extra batteries and then just charge them in a sequence. So when you're finished with the first battery, put that directly to charge, and once you finish the next one, put that to charge, and then once you finish the third one, the first one will be fully charged. And if you get 4 batteries, you will be covered throughout the day as long as you have a few power banks. The power banks that I'm using is the Anker PowerCore Elite 3. I will leave a link to this down in the description below. It's really hard to get hold of, but I will leave a link down to it, and maybe some of your local stores have one in stock. But yeah, links down in the description. Now, one of the huge selling points of the Mini 3 Pro when this was released was the vertical shooting mode in 4K 60. The Air 3, because it has that telephoto lens, can't rotate the camera, which means the Air 3 is limited to 2.7K resolution for vertical videos. It's not a deal breaker by no means. 2.7K resolution is more than enough for social media posts like Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. But coming from 4K resolution in vertical shooting mode on the Mini 3 Pro, I just can't see the Air 3 being an upgrade at all. My personal opinion though. I'm sure there is a lot of people out there which will be stoked about the 2.7K, but honestly, I mean, we're halfway through 2023. I think 4K should be a minimum for any resolution, whether it's slow motion, whatever it is. I think 4K should be the minimum standard for any drone. And as for normal videos, the Air 3 shoots no higher than the Mini 3 Pro. It caps at 4K at 100 FPS. So you got 40 more FPS in 4K than you get with the Mini 3 Pro, which is capped at 4K 60 FPS. Now, if you've been a subscriber here on this channel for some time, you know that I really love the Mini 3 Pro, and there's a few reasons why. I'm not going to try to sell you the Mini 3 Pro by any means, but I think it's important to share my experience and my perspective of this drone and why I think this is the better buy. After all, I spent my own money getting this drone. Now, if you didn't get it by now, the Mini 3 Pro shoots 4K videos up to 60 FPS, both in horizontal and vertical aspects, which alone is pretty impressive. It doesn't have that 360 degrees of obstacle avoidance though, but do you really need it? From my experience using the Mini 3 Pro for about 15-ish months now, I've only been needing none, basically no need of obstacle avoidance sensors, because most of the time I see the drone, and if I don't see the drone, I can see what the drone sees in front of the drone on the screen on the monitor which I'm using. And before I fly to either direction, I always turn the drone towards the direction I want to fly, so I can see if there is any obstacles I need to avoid. And not to mention the features and everything that you get with the Mini 3 Pro. You get like hyperlapse, quick shots, master shots, dual native ISO or passive HDR video, which you can convert to true HDR in post, active track, point of interest, spotlight, 2x digital zoom in 4K, 3x in 2.7K and 4x in 1080p, decent like 10-bit, panorama photos, and of course gain and expo, which allows you to personalize your drone's behavior. You also have a style option to set the sharpness and noise level, which is awesome if you want a better quality by adding your own customizations in post. Now the next one is noise. The Air 3 is running with 81 decibels, which is 2 less than the Mavic 3 Classic, which has 83. And compared to the Mini 3 Pro, which has around 50 to 55 decibel, the Classic is loud. And when I'm out traveling or whenever I want to fly my drones, I want them to be as silent as possible so I don't get the attention. The more attention I get, the more questions I get, and the less flight time I get. And these are all crucial parts for me when I'm out trying to nail a sunset or a sunrise. I want to have as much battery life as possible, and I surely don't want that to be wasted by bringing in a lot of attention. So the noise is a crucial part for my personal experience and what I look at in a drone. And this is also one of the reasons I'm flying the Mini 3 Pro 90% more than the Mavic 3 Classic, because I just think it's too loud. If I'm not peaking at maximum height or as far as I can see it, the Air 3 is no better at 81 decibel. So another reason I think the Mini 3 Pro is a much better buy. Now, as of now, the only upgrade that I see for my personal needs is the new DJI RC2 controller, which again isn't a big deal. Most of the time I'm flying about 700 to 800 meters anyway, so the distance of 15 kilometers here in Norway or Europe doesn't mean much to me. I would sure love to get my hands on one though, as it might just be less laggy than the DJI RC. But the overall price, even as a standalone drone, I honestly think you'll have a much better experience getting the Mavic 3 Classic, which has a Hasselblad camera, 5.1K resolution, D-Log, a flexible aperture, and all the features you see in the Air 3 except for the vertical shooting mode. The Air 3 is also 720 grams and the Mavic 3 is just short of 900 grams, which puts these in the same category anyway, both being C1 labeled for A1 open airspace for now, and both can be flown in the same category as the Mini 3 Pro for now. I do feel like I'm putting a lot of hate towards the Air 3 and DJI now, but don't get me wrong, I love everything about DJI and all their products, and I think they have the best consumer drones available on the market. But if I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't see the point in the Air 3. I also sold my Air 2S, which was one of the biggest mistakes I've done, but I had to do that to be able to afford the Mavic 3 Classic. And I almost sold my Mavic 3 Classic as well because I knew that the Air 3 was coming. And I'm so happy that I didn't sell the Mavic 3 Classic. To me, this is a much better drone. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's a much better drone than the Air 3. And if you're gonna get a bigger drone, which is above 250 grams, you might as well just get the Mavic 3 Classic because it has that C1 label anyway, which is similar to what the Air 3 has, but it has a much better camera. And the overall features and stability of this is gonna be on a higher level anyway. And if I remember correctly, the Air 2S had quite a size difference compared to the Mavic 3 and had a weight of 595 grams. So to me, it's a bit of a bummer that the size and weight has increased on the Air 3. I was actually hoping for just short of 500 grams given the technology, and that we have the Mini 3 standard, which is able to fly for 51 minutes with the plus batteries. It doesn't make the batteries of the Air 3 the reason for the higher weight. So if this drone was sub 500 grams and maybe had a vertical shooting in 4K as well, then it would be a great upgrade from the Air 2 and Air 2S in my opinion. This is my honest opinion about that. So if you don't know it by now, I'm not getting the Air 3 because I think this is such a waste of money, especially when you have the bigger drone and the better drone. So if you're gonna buy a drone, the Mini 3 Pro is my #1 recommendation, and then the Mavic 3 Classic. So the last reason why I'm not buying the Air 3 is the fact that I already have the Mini 3 Pro, and I see no major improvements or reasons to swap this out with the Air 3. Now, if we take a look at the major key differences here, we see a higher FPS count in the 4K resolution on the Air 3, D-Log-M and HLG, where D-Log-M is just the same as the Cine-like for most people, it's just a little bit different, and it also has full obstacle avoidance sensors, which I talked about a little bit earlier, so it's nice to have, but for me it's not really a must, as long as I have the sensors at front. It can also fly longer, but what's the point in flying 20 kilometers to not make it and then have the drone fall from the sky? It actually has 1 minute less of battery life as well than the Mini 3 Pro, but this is only on paper. A real life scenario will be different for each flight. Now, we also have all the functions here like altitude, speed, and charge time. So all in all, the upgrades are not huge. And if you have the Air 2 or Air 2S and have been holding off on the Mini 3 Pro to get the Air 3, I would actually keep the Air 2 or Air 2S and then get the Mini 3 Pro, especially when the Air 3 is just a bigger version of the Mini 3 Pro with more sensors and a zoom lens. But I'm curious to know your thoughts on the Air 3. This is only my personal opinions about this, and I'm curious to know your opinions as well. Is this something you will be getting, or will you stick with the Mini 3 Pro, Mavic 3 Classic or Mavic 3, or the Air 2 or Air 2S? I will leave a few links to my recommendations down in the description below. If you're looking to get a new drone, you can also find my free cheat sheets for the Mini 3 Pro, as well as a discount on my Signature LUTs and motion graphics, which you have seen here on the screen. Everything will be down in the description. Let me know your thoughts down below, and if you found any value in my reasons, then make sure to drop a like for the algorithm as well. And also don't forget to smash that subscribe button and stay tuned for something awesome which is coming soon.